And it's moving. Look at it again! He did it again! He pulled it back and let it go the second time around. He had that on a yo-yo. And it's moving.
All right, welcome in. How about that? Hunter Dickinson, what a night for the big man for the Wolverines as the Michigan routs Michigan State. Michigan was up 16 at the half. They win it by 17, a final of 87-70. Welcome in. TMBR TV, Michigan State postgame. I'm Dennis Fitti, and I'm joined by Jim Scarcelli. And Scar, this was amazing blue night from the start.
Hey, Denny. Look, man, you beat the Buckeyes in football. You beat the Spartans in football. You got to beat Michigan State. This game is big. It matters big time. It matters big time. They got us in football. They got the first one over at third place. So now we got one. So that's a huge win. Anything can happen in the Big Ten, man. Nebraska went to Ohio State and won tonight. This Michigan State team went to Wisconsin and beat the heck out of them. So we didn't know what was going to happen, but our bench was huge. Our bench was solid. Our bench scored points. Frankie Collins was outstanding. He was when he was in the game, we were able to still score points, and a lot of good things to talk about.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good spot to start with that last thing that you said about Frankie Collins, because Devontae Jones got into some early foul trouble, and if you've followed Michigan this year, it's really been the starters that have been, asked to carry the weight, for this team. They haven't really been getting much production from the bench. That was different tonight. Jones goes out in early foul trouble. What did you see from Frankie Collins? You look at the stat line, it wasn't all that impressive, but he definitely had an impact on this game.
Hey, I've been saying it all year. I saw the kid play in high school. The kid is a phenomenal athlete. If he played football, he would be a phenomenal free safety type kid. The kid is just an athlete. He jumps out the gym, but he was outstanding on defense tonight. Outstanding. The kid is athletic. He moves his feet well. He's getting smarter in terms of positioning and reading screens and communicating. But he was really, really good on defense. And he needs to work on his shot. The day he can make 30% from three and make a 10, 12 footer, he's going to be something else. But he's tough going to the rim, and he'll beat people to the rim. The Hunter's guys got to go help, and he's finding the open man. So he was doing a great job driving and dishing, and that was great to see that. We got three solid guys that can play guard, and he's got a big game to build on, man.
No doubt. 4 assists in the first half, 2 rebounds. And, you mentioned it, and he was driving the lane and dropping some of those passes to Hunter Dickinson. I mean, weaving his way through there. And then, the next thing the ball's in Hunter's hands. If you're watching it, you got to kind of slow it down. Look at the replay, a little sleight of hand there moving through, whether it's on the baseline. I mean, he can really knife through there when you're talking about driving the lane. He was huge. And also Terrence Williams coming in, letting it fly in the first half, from downtown. That's not something that, I expected, but 3 of 3 from long range in the first half. That was a real shot in the arm, obviously, for the Wolverines, who dropped 5 threes into the first half, 5 of 8. No time like right now to get that going, but that was a huge surprise as well.
Yeah, it was nice to see him shoot the ball so well. Brandon Johns gets in the game, and he lights up a 3. But I want to see those two guys do more of the nasty stuff that we get from Diabate, more keeping the ball alive, second shots, blocking shots. They got to do those things because they're not gonna shoot the ball well every night. But it was great to get the scoring because those were 4 threes that we're not normally getting between Williams and Johns. But he was good. He made shots. I just want to see more of the other stuff. But I was a little discouraged that Michigan State got a couple easy baskets getting back. We didn't get back fast enough on defense. And that's the first thing you got to start with. Martelli talked about it. I mean, it happened like 3 or 4 times tonight. After a Michigan basket, they push it up the floor and get easy back. That's just lazy. There are a couple of times we were just jogging back and just not hustling. There's no excuse for it. But the bench was solid, Danny. Bench was solid.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I would take the film from tonight and when they played Purdue recently, and I would just show that to these guys. They came out, I don't know, possessed, might be a little bit too strong, but, they came out playing like they had to have this game, like their tournament lives depended on it. And to me, they had that look. And, yeah, it helps. Everybody making shots, that gets contagious. And, they got their point guard in early foul trouble, and they had to depend on the guys from the bench. But, they got into the second half, and, Michigan State, you figured they'd make a little bit of a push, and they did. But, Hunter Dickinson, this is when you got a big man that's a matchup problem, and you saw it last year. I mean, this guy's an All-American, and, these are the kind of games where you watch Michigan and you say, hey, you know what? You got a difference maker. You got the best player out on the floor. That's a big deal when it comes to college basketball. There's only 5 guys out there on the side, 10, and you got the best one. And Dickinson played like that tonight. He can get a little bit of carryover from this, whether it's Thursday or Sunday or getting into the Big Ten tournament. This is the kind of guy, this team, they're not in the NCAA tournament yet. But, if they win one of the next out of these 2, I think you could feel pretty good if you're a Michigan fan. And then you start thinking about, can this team string some wins together? And you say, yeah, it starts with Dickinson and playing like he did tonight, man. That was, he had a career high. So you say that was his best game. He was awesome against his rival. And tell me a little bit, you had Dickinson clearly, he does things when he scores, whether it's shooting the 3, he's dragging his hand down and, he's got a couple things he's going to do when he makes a shot, but he was clearly glaring over at the MSU bench early and often. He did it in the second half. It ticked off Tom Izzo in the second half, where Tom Izzo said he didn't like that. He didn't like Dickinson. I don't know if he thought he was directing his taunts at the head coach, certainly the Spartan bench. It actually gave MSU Izzo's tantrum there gave MSU a little bit of spark, where they cut the lead to 12 in the second half. But what did you think of all of that with Dickinson's game tonight? I mean, 33, but then, you have the, whatever you want to call it, taunting or glaring over at the MSU bench. So,
yeah, I know, Hunter's the kind of kid, I think around the Big Ten, he's one of them big guys the fans like to get on. I'm sure I think they rode him pretty hard at Michigan State. He got into that same kind of deal last year at Maryland, remember?
Yeah.
He was getting into that kind of stuff.
He got called for a T at Maryland, that's where he's from or right down the road. So you understood a little bit.
It's still no excuse, man. I don't know everything that was said. If I'm coaching, I want energy and enthusiasm. I want celebrations together with our team, high-fiving each other. I wouldn't want that. I don't know why he thinks he needs to do it. You got to be mentally tough, because we just don't need a dumb a foul or some technical foul type stuff. Something that I don't know everything that was said. I don't know the history of everything, but he's done it a couple times, and I don't know how positive it is for Michigan. But as far as me looking at Hunter tonight, I said this before we played him last time. I thought Hunter would have this kind of a game in East Lansing, because I thought Bingham would have a hard time with him. And then they bring the other guy in there, what's his name, Marble, and Hunter was just killing both of them. And I thought that he could have did this the last time, but it didn't happen. But Hunter Dickinson played and dominated. There was no Kofi Coburn out there. There was no Zach Edey out there. So Hunter, he's going to dominate better against Bingham and Marble. But I'll tell you, Hunter has a game all over. He's got the low post game. He's got the 10-foot game. He's got enough of a 3-point game. You got to honor it. But he was definitely played like one of the top kids in the Big Ten tonight, and we needed every bit of it, man. But it was a great performance by him. And Izzo will not, that's his deal. He don't want to double, Danny. He's just going to stay with what he has. And that's just what he does. He doesn't believe in doubling on the low block, and Hunter made him pay.
Yeah, well, the thing when you come down with everything that you had to say about Dickinson, it's a picture of him at the free throw line, one of getting ready to shoot up one of his game high and career high 33 points. And, if it motivates you to shoot a stare over at the opposing bench, that's one thing. But I think what you're talking about is the one thing that we don't know. We don't know, what he's saying, like, glaring over there. They do it in the NBA all the time, especially when they're right there by the bench, they'll look over. We know this isn't the NBA, but there's a little bit of that crossover. But if he's saying something, I mean, that's the difference but you know what? After that, I don't know if it was Martelli or somebody on the bench just said, look, Flax, celebrate with your teammates. He did that. That happened midway through the second half. And after that, I mean, he still was, dunking and doing all of his stuff. And he stopped glaring over at the bench after all of that. So the coaching or just a reminder or anything else, whatever gets you motivated. But, if you're not talking, I mean, that would be the thing. Like, if you're not talking, would I want my players to be staring over at the bench? It's going to motivate the other team, and who knows what's going to happen there. But this is something that he's done since day one. He likes to get on Twitter as well. He's backing it up. Of course, he backed it up tonight. But as to me, if you're not mouthing off there, I would allow some of that. I mean, because you're backing it up.
Yeah, I just, as a coach, this is how I was coached, man. I mean, it's, Schembechler said, we score a touchdown and we celebrate together, man. We stop them on defense, we celebrate together. That's how I'm wired, man. And that's how I coach football and basketball. And look, of course you want to be enthusiastic and energetic, but I don't understand the reason to look at them, but we covered it. I want to look at some other stuff, Danny. We're still making a few, I look at our mistakes on defense early. I got it here in my notes. A lot of the mistakes switching are still with the freshmen. It's almost always with our freshmen, but we're making a lot less of them. But again, we were productive with Frankie Collins in the game. We scored points with Frankie Collins in the games, and that was huge. That was big, man. And I tell you, another thing I got down here, I want to know what the heck what did we do today? What did we had the 1 day rest, which is overrated. Michigan State had 2 days, but that stuff is overrated. But whatever we did in preparation yesterday, I know sometimes the best thing a player needs is to rest his legs. You wonder if we just had a walk around, shoot around, but whatever Martelli did yesterday and today, because our guys were focused, they were fresh, they were sharp shooting the ball, and a lot of good stuff. I don't know what our preparation is, but I would say repeat it, because it was like going to Nebraska, going to Indiana, and then Michigan State. We played well, shot well, as good as we played all year.
Yeah, I hear you on that. If the choice was, between fish and chicken, and I'd say, hey, whatever you guys picked, to eat for the pregame meal, let's go with that again. Let's do the same thing. Let's wear these 89 jerseys. Those are small things, but the thing you wonder whether this team could put a streak together, and if it could all come together. And you start with a big man, and you say Dickinson leading the way. You get some bench production, which they really hadn't got. They shot well. And then you're looking for, Caleb Houston looked pretty good tonight. That's a shot in the arm. And getting Terrence Williams, you're not going to be able to depend on, I don't think you're going to walk in Thursday and say, all right, Terrence, go out, let it fly, from anywhere out there. Like Caleb Houston has the green light, but Terrence Williams, he was open. It's the one thing about him. And it was all the way back to the exhibition game against Wayne State. He got the first pass. It went right to him. He was open. He shot it with confidence. He did the same thing tonight. It just went in. So can you get Terrence Williams? Can you get Frankie Collins? Can you get Bufkin to have the kind of impact that these guys have had late? Maybe. Can you get Caleb Houston? Now, Caleb Houston's put together, I would say, 3 games now. So the trajectory, this isn't just one thing for Caleb Houston. This has been multiple games now. Or you could say this might be clicking in a little bit from him. Diabate, game in, game out, you can see him, he might score 26 one game. He might do something like tonight, and just have a half dozen. But he's going to be a factor in there. To me, is that can Dickinson be the kind of guy he was tonight? Sometimes he's getting the ball, he's throwing it away, and he's shooting a 10-footer on the baseline, which is tough and missing it. Maybe settling for some of those threes, but everything that he did tonight, man, he looked like one of the dominant big men in college basketball. And that's the name of the game. If you want to do something, you want to make some noise, you want to get into the tournament, you want to make some noise in the Big Ten, you want to make some noise in the NCAA tournament, starts with a big man ripping down the rim like he did tonight.
I tell you, Danny, don't fool yourself, though. Hunter's success tonight, a huge part of it was Michigan State's philosophy. We're not going to double, and they got average guys defending them. There was no Kofi Coburn down there. It was a huge difference for Hunter going against a guy like Bingham, going against Marble. Marble got no chance against Hunter. So the scheme, and then Hunter capitalized it, was huge. Talking about Williams, he was open for a reason. So was Brendan Johns. Both of those guys were open for a reason. I guarantee you, Izzo said, look, I'm going to let this guy shoot. So I think that's a part of the reason they were open. But you're right. Caleb Houston is playing confident basketball. He's moving his feet better on defense. He's got to learn still. He's on the wrong end of the charge too many times. He's got to find his way through that lane because he knows they're overplaying him at the three-point line. They're forcing him to drive, and he's got to find a better way to finish without getting the charge. He had a charge against him tonight. What I saw from Diabate, he did a pretty good job on what's the kid, the big forward for State. He was defending. What the heck? The transfer. He was on Hall for a while. He did a pretty good job against Hall. But he had two moving screen calls on him. And I understand doing it. Normally the officials don't call it because Michigan State is notorious for moving screens, and they called them against Michigan State, and they had two of them against Diabate. He's trying to subtly make it look like you're running down the middle of the lane in transition, and you're basically opening up, trying to find some space for your teammate. But Diabate was average. He had some dumb fouls though. We can't have the moving screens and that kind of stuff. And he's biting on some fakes too much. I'd like to see him, keep his feet on the ground a little bit better. But again, he was okay, but good enough to win.
Well, remember this: Michigan will host Iowa coming up on Thursday night. That was a game that they played not too long ago in Iowa City. That's where Diabate went for 28, a career high, and he also did the job on Keegan Murray, who's up for Conference Player of the Year. So he played his best game. He should be as confident. He should be flying high. Actually, everybody should, on Thursday to come out and feel like, you can get your dancing shoes on if you go out there. If they play with the same effort, you can't predict that they're going to hit all those shots like you're talking about. With the guys, that's probably not going to happen. But I think the effort and intensity and just their mentality, playing like that at home, the crowd was behind them. That was good. Hopefully they'll get that kind of noise on Thursday night because it can push you and can push this team and can be the difference of this team getting into the tournament. You don't want to everything that you got rolling now and feeling good and everything else. You don't want to drop that game Thursday and feel like you have to have a must win down at Columbus on a Sunday. That's not something you want to do. So you're in good position right now, though.
Yeah. Hey, Iowa is now a team that their strength is offense. They got guys that can score. They got everybody on the short, on the floor could shoot. And Diabate was a matchup problem for them. I think with Hunter and him on the floor, Diabate had a smaller guy, a guy he could really, capitalize on. And I think that had a lot to do with why he was so successful because they were more focused on Hunter, and then they put a weaker defender on Diabate, and he had a great game. But Diabate was outstanding on defense against Keegan. And, they missed shots against us that game, and that's going to be a tough game. But we will definitely it's not going to be like going against Ohio State's defense or Illinois' defense when we play Iowa. We'll be able to score the ball and get good shots. But Iowa's strength is offense. They got guys that can score. You talked about Jones, and I thought he looked really out of sync early on. He just didn't look right. He had, like you said, he had a couple dumb fouls, and he didn't get a chance to get his footing and get situated. But once he got going in the second half, he had some nice finishes at the rim, and he made a big three to kind of slow a run down that they were getting going. But Iowa, Denny, hey, we could score the ball against them. Let's bring the shot makers like we did tonight, and do a good job on Keegan Murray. And we know the game plan to beat them. We beat them at their place, so but no guarantees in the Big Ten, man.
They probably won't be on the same side in the Big Ten tournament. Talking about Michigan and Michigan State, if it came down to that. But what do you think of the Spartans moving forward? What do you think of their position, their overall game, their upside? Anything that you would think about Michigan State moving forward? I know it was big to even up the rivalry for this year. They lost in January, so evening that up, they needed it, of course, for their tournament chances here. And Tom Izzo was set to break Bobby Knight's Big Ten win record. You didn't want that happening at the Chrysler Center either. So all those things are good. But what about MSU?
Michigan State. We've seen them. I've seen them beat UConn. I've seen them go on the road and beat Wisconsin. So they're up and down. They got good players. But then we've seen them lose to Northwestern at home and do some things like that. So Michigan State is a team I would want to play in the tournament. Okay, I would want to play them. The teams I don't want to play because I think give us a problem because they're so good. I don't want to play Illinois or Ohio State because of their defense. I think they give us problems, make it hard for us to score. Initially, I thought Purdue was the best team in the tough. And Purdue is a damn good offensive team. So is Illinois. They're good on offense, but I think we could score the ball against both of those teams. So the last teams I want to play are Illinois and Ohio State, and then probably Purdue and Wisconsin and Iowa. Then the rest of them, they're all going to be tough games. I mean, like I said, Nebraska just went to Ohio State and won. So there's no lamb chops. There's no gimmies. Nebraska, gave us a game in the fourth quarter at home. So and we know Northwestern's tough. So there's no, that tournament's going to be tough. But yeah, Michigan State is a team I would not mind playing in the tournament, period.
Yeah, I think for Michigan State, they're a pretty good team. And the one thing that they're lacking, though, is they just don't have that one guy. Sometimes you thought earlier in the year it was going to be Gabe Brown, and then it looked like Malik Hall was their most consistent guy, and then it was Christie, and Walker's hit some big shots. And they got a lot of good players, and Hauser we talked about, but they don't just have that one guy. You say, all right, let's run the play for him, and he's going to be the guy. Michigan does have Dickinson. But after that, they have some of that same struggles too. Like, who are you going to really go to hit that big bucket? But Michigan does have the big man inside, and I think that's the one thing Michigan State's searching for. They say that you need that alpha, whatever you want to say. You need a guy that can make a bucket for you and be that that go-to guy. They just don't have that. A lot of good players, but they don't have that. All those other teams, Ohio State does. They have Lindell. Certainly, Purdue has somebody. Where you're thinking about Illinois, got one or two guys that you might want to be able to give the ball to in crunch time. Michigan State, not so much.
Yeah, big difference. You look at the two teams. The big difference is the five position. Hunter against Marble and Bingham. There's a huge difference there. Our guy can score and play defense. Bingham is a hell of a defender, a hell of a shot blocker. Marble's a big physical kid, but those guys don't score points. You can't just dump it down to them and let them go to work. So there's a big advantage for Michigan offensively with that at that position, and they got to deal with that, and that's a problem for them.
I'm with you. What if you had to give 3 stars out? Dickinson would be your number 1 star. Who would you give a second and third star to tonight for the Wolverines, Jim Scarcelli?
Yeah, Hunter would be my 1. I'm looking at my the rest of them. I think Frankie Collins might be my 2. because he showed. I knew the kid was he played really good defense, man. We were just so many times we get our guards not recognizing the screen, and he was feeling it. Our guys must have been communicating because he didn't get caught up. He did a good job against their guards, so he would be my 2. Brooks was kind of average tonight. He's solid. He does what he does. My next guy I guess I might have to go with Williams just because he did make
2. There you go. I like it. He hit the 3 for 3 in the first half. You know what? Michigan.
Yeah, I don't want to keep dwelling on the ability to shoot. You gotta do more. I want to see him do more than just make a couple shots.
Yeah, well, that's fine. You know what? The Michigan won this game in the first half, and he was a big part of that. It was like I was saying all week long: get Frankie Collins going crazy, and let's get Terrence Williams jacking up some outside shots. That's not what I said, but that was a little bit of it tonight. Let's read some of the feedback here, and if you're out there, and you want to get your thoughts in, we'll read it. Antoine's got a series of points here. Let me read some of these, and then you can make a comment in. Jim Scarcelli. Michigan finally got some good guard play. That's the Achilles heel for this team. Bobby Knight used to run that motion offense and make you pass the ball 10 times before the shot. That helps bad guards. Howard still got fight in him, being a former player. Oddly enough, I think he still has a player's mentality. He has to remember he's the coach. Antoine says, I think it will help Jawan. If he call a timeout to remind these freshmen that they have to control the game and run plays, it's always better to have old guards rather than young ones. Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, I thought there was pretty good ball movement in our half-court offense, but most of it was, and you got to give Isley credit. It's like, look, man, let's put salt on the wound. And if that means get the ball every time down to Hunter to start the offense. But I thought there was pretty good ball movement. And, I tell you, one thing that bugged me tonight was we must have had 3 or 4 turnovers on entry passes trying to get it down to Hunter Dickinson. The big Christie kid deflected 2 or 3 of them. That was kind of bugging me. Is it Michigan State that does such a great job denying the entry, or were we just bad tonight? Because I was getting pretty furious with that, trying to do the entry. Well,
that was an issue against Illinois on Sunday, too. I mean, the opposing team knows where the ball is going, so they're going to play to that, and you have to get that angle pass from the side. And I think Michigan sometimes settles for making a bad entry pass from up top. Eli is able to do it pretty good with a kind of a hook pass, but it's a hard pass to make. And Frankie turned one over there. They were kind of sitting on him there. But you know that's where the ball is going to go. They did a good job talking about Michigan State on that. Michigan slapped a 14-0 run in the first half. That was there was a lot of game and everything else, but that was the game. They were able to, put their foot on there right off the bat and shock MSU. So all that other stuff, and that's where you had Frankie was in there at that time, and that's where Terrence made his his threes, at least 2 of them, and Caleb had one in there too. Like, you just don't expect it. You don't expect Michigan to be raining threes. You don't expect – you do expect, Dickinson to get out there and, start playing his game. But they're all feeding off one another, off the crowd, and it being a rivalry game and all that. But a 14-0 run in the first half, that was impressive. And, being able to build on that this team, whether or not they could just take off, I'm not ready for that. But against Purdue and then now against here tonight, I'd say this was, if this wasn't Michigan's best game, it was their second best game behind Purdue all year long from start to finish.
Yeah, it was. There was a lot of good things. Our defense was pretty darn good. I really liked our defense. I liked our guard defense. Bingham was a non-factor. Their low post game. Hauser did some things. Diabate's good on defense. What do we got here? Great game. I take back. D's nuts. One thought. Okay, he's back with the blue again, baby. Good luck in the. Oh no, NIT. That must be a Spartan jumped in there or something. I don't know.
I guess. You know what? I don't think Michigan's right now. Like, if Michigan would have lost this game, you wanted to roll some NIT stuff out there. I think that could have been a little zinger. But a State fan hopping in when your team gets smacked in the face and your coach is out there throwing a tantrum because the opposing center's dropping 33 points on you guys, that's going to be a long drive back to East Lansing. And you know what? You guys look like it's going to be an early out for you. So, tonight it's all about Michigan. I know that's tough. That's tough for Carter. That's going to be a long night for you and a long couple days. And lucky you got some of those early wins because you guys are folding up here at the end. That's not a good sign. You want to be playing your best basketball, Carter, late in the season. You don't want to be dropping whatever it is, 5 of 6 now, like you have. So I would look down the end of that bench and look at the staff and everything else. You guys got a lot of head scratching going on. You might be lucky that you're going to be in the tournament this year, but I wouldn't be making any long plans or anything, Carter, if I was you. But hey, let's see. We still got some basketball to play. That's what it's all about. All right. It was Michigan's night.
Yeah, the game we got to get though is all right. We talked about this a few weeks back, Danny. We got to win the home games. We got to get, and we played like a team that was home today. And Michigan State played like a team that was on the road. You should have an advantage. Your rim, your court, your crowd, your lighting, your floor, your bounce of the floor. Those little things matter. And we shot the ball and played like we're at home. We got to do the same darn thing Thursday night and play like we're at home against the Hawkeyes.
How about this score from the Big Ten from earlier today? You ready for this one? Nebraska beats Ohio State 78-70. That's a shocking result. That's the first ever win for Nebraska under the mayor, Fred Hoiberg, against a ranked foe. That game was in Columbus. So the Cornhuskers just roll into Ohio State, and they pop the Buckeyes, team that Michigan is going to play on Sunday. That's unexpected.
Yeah, there's a couple things there. Was Ohio State, were they lackadaisical and, seeing the 0-15, whatever the hell they are, league record and
3-16 now.
Yeah, and Nebraska came to Ann Arbor and almost beat the Wolverines, so we know they're a pretty good team. The guy's a good coach, and any given night, man, you make your shots. So yeah, am I surprised in it? Yes, but hey, you got to get ready to play. You got to get your mind right every day to play. Get back to, I think it was Andre, one of our callers, talked about the freshmen. Hey, after 25, 28 games, whatever we played, those guys aren't freshmen anymore, man. Caleb Houston is now playing like an experienced guy. He's not playing nothing even close to what him and Diabate and Frankie Collins were. If you think back to their first 4 or 5 games a year, these guys are playing so much better, so much smarter basketball, more confident.
Well, that's a great point, about this team here, and it was you put Devontae Jones into the mix, who I think, however you want to put it. I'll say that he struggled to get his footing early on, and working with Dickinson and Diabate, and Diabate was big some games and not existed in some of the others. We talk about Caleb Houston, but now that they've played so many games, I mean, this is 3 games in a row for Houston. He had, 21 3 games ago. He had 20 again now, and he had a pretty good shooting night tonight. So he's coming around. Frankie Collins, I'm surprised they didn't give him a little bit more burn in the second half after how he played in the first half. But, that's now somebody that you think about changing the tempo and giving you energy when he comes in. That's a nice second unit. Somehow Terrence Williams, go ahead. I'm ready to see him cast his first one coming up on Thursday against Iowa, because he'll be feeling it and he'll be testing it.
Well, it's good. It's good in a way that he had some success shooting it, because maybe people will defend him, and that will stretch the defense and open up a little more for Hunter and Diabate Thursday night. But he can't fall in love with it. He's got to be overall player, but
can't fall in love with it unless it's working.
That's right, man. But what else do I got here? Our free throw shooting was pretty good. Yeah, we got a box out. I saw. Sometimes it just bugs me how I tell you play Michigan State, and I've been watching. And this guy does all the little things. You got to get back on defense, and you got to rebound, man. And that's the two things those are just hustle. They don't take nights off. They got nothing. It's all about effort, and they do such a good job of getting second shots and keeping rebounding position and taking rebounding position. And I saw Diabate lose it one time. I saw Williams lose it a couple times, and that just comes with experience.
They tighten up things like you're suggesting, some of these turnovers, and get back on D. They'll be ready to take on Arizona or Kentucky. You start talking about winning that, playing the 1 or 2 seed wherever they match up. They play like you're talking about, play like the rest of the game like they played. They might be able to win a couple games in the tournament. So we'll see.
Let's win Thursday, baby. We took care of the Spartans. We got to respect. We send our seniors out respectably in terms of splitting with them. So Brooks, you don't want to send a guy out like that, having lost twice to Michigan State. So that's a big win for our seniors. And now we just take a day off and do the same darn preparation we did for Michigan State this next day and a half as we get ready for the Hawkeyes.
Well, I'm going to say, I've said this a couple times, but nice point, Scar. Thursday, you're going to have senior night for Eli Brooks again, but he didn't get it last year because of the pandemic. So the crowd will be able to give the Michigan player who's played the most games in a Michigan uniform a proper send-off along with Brandon Johns. That's nice here. And, home court advantage means a lot, but, the senior night is a special night around college basketball across the country. So Michigan's going to have that going for them on Thursday night as well. Let's see if they're going to be able to use that. Great point.
Yeah, that's an emotional day, and hopefully it helps us. But I think some of the problems early on, especially for like Jones, I think some of the stuff was over emotionally ready for this game. Sometimes it can get you in trouble, but big game, senior night, it matters. I remember everybody remembers their last home game, and no matter what sport you play. So it'll be it'll be an emotional day. Hopefully we can use it to our favor, our advantage.
Well, it'll feel like they'll clinch a NCAA tournament spot if they're able to get it. So a lot on the line for the Wolverines when they next take the floor. But tonight, being able to take down Michigan State in impressive fashion, up 16 at the half. They go on and win it by 17. Michigan was up 22 in the second half. Hunter Dickinson with 33 big points. That's a career high for the big man who wears the number 1 jersey. So all of that went well. Scar, great job. We look forward to talking with you next time here on the Maize and Blue Review.
Yeah, hey, little shout out. They said it hasn't been done since our boy T. Mills against the Spartan. You heard that? I met old Terry Mills. That's a great Wolverine. He's old school back in my day, but
they say 32 years to the day. I think.
Great day for Michigan. Great day for Hunter and Frankie Collins. We are rolling. We got the Hawkeyes coming in. We're looking confident, looking positive.
I'm with you. One last one. Lamar getting in right at the buzzer here. Do you guys think the recent adversity that the national coverage allowed the team to come together, is this something that's positive, like a bunker mentality, if you will? He's talking about the Howard suspension. What do you think about it?
I tell you, look, we got beat the other day against Illinois, and we're 2-1 now since Juwan's been out. You don't know. As a player, yes, sometimes those things help. Sometimes it matters. But I don't really know. I'm not in that locker room. I know as a former coach and as a former player who was part of bad things happening, sometimes that does exactly what you say, the bunker mentality. It depends on the team, depends on the coaches. It looks like those 3 coaches got that team unified, and they're playing confident. They're playing loose. But Juwan developed and built the foundation. He hired those coaches. He recruited those players, and he didn't recruit some soft kids and some soft coaches. So a great leader hires great people and surrounds himself with great leaders. So if he's out, the machine keeps rolling. But yes, to answer your question, maybe that is happening right now.
Well, it looked like it tonight. You know, they're 2-1 under Martelli here as the acting head coach. If they go out there and win on Thursday, you know, it's all about. It's a weird thing in college basketball. You can play great, you know, all year long, then you can get bounced in the first round of the tournament. It feels like a failure. This Michigan team, which is, let's face it, been mostly disappointing this season. If they find a way just to get in to the tournament, Juwan Howard comes back for the Big Ten. Maybe that could be a little galvanizing spot for them. They can make a little push there. Maybe they get into the – I tell you this, they get in there and they win 2 games. Let's just say they win 2 games in the NCAA tournament. They're sitting there in the Sweet 16 that week. The narrative is going to be, you know what? This team faced adversity, and they Juwan Howard, he hired Phil Martelli and Howard, Isley, and Sadie Washington for a reason. And it was like Lamar and Scar. It was like Shooter in Hoosiers. You know, remember Hackman got thrown out of the game on purpose, so Shooter had to take over.
That's right.
And got in there and made the call. It told everybody what happened. So, you know, that's the kind of stuff that happens this time of year. You start thinking about, you know, how it ends up playing out. But, you know, for 3 games, you can make the case for it. But you're right, unless you're in that locker room. But they've got the experienced guys here, and they are on this trajectory. Of course, you go back and watch Sunday's game, you say, oh, man, there would have been pessimism would have reigned the night and for the next couple of days if they would have lost this game. But now you're feeling great. I mean, it's got a little football feel to it now because all of these games, they feel like they're more than just like one regular season game. You know, the tournament's on the line. You know, the senior night on Thursday, last regular season game on Sunday. It's against the Buckeyes, and then it's tournament time. Hey, you know what they call this, Scar? March. Let's go.
Yeah, hey man, we're feeling good. We're ready, man. You talk about this coach being gone. We remember the great Bo Schembechler when our coach left for Arizona State. A Michigan man will lead this program. And so that galvanized Glenn Rice and the boys a few years back. This team is galvanized, and when they get Big Juwan back, they'll be even more fired up. So we're looking good, man. Let's get the Hawkeyes Thursday night.
They're wearing the jerseys tonight, the 89 throwback. So there you go, bringing it back to you. All right, thanks for the feedback. Scar, great. Well, we look forward to talking with you again. Michigan wins it 87-70 over Michigan State. Good night. Aren't you give us that Go Blue, Scar? What?
Oh, I thought we were off the air. Go